Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Streggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I'm your host, David Streggy, and here in the room, I am about to do another review, this time of Aaron K. Carter's next feature, which is an anthology, and I have it here on a double feature with his Dead Kansas film, which was distributed by oldies.com, Alpha New Cinema, and it was definitely interesting. It's got a group of 4 or 5 tales. The first is An Hour to Kill, like the title. So we have a couple of hitmen who, as the story goes along, the one hitman, Geo, who seems to be the leader of the duo, has been asked by their boss, Mr. Kaminsky, played by a legendary Mel Novak, which I actually saw in a later film called The Eternal Code. But going backwards a year, this is one of the films that he did before that film. So in this particular anthology, he plays kind of a Scarface-like character, where he basically tells him he thinks that his partner, Frankie, played by Frankie Pozos, is in fact a rat or a mole, giving information to the other crime boss, who just so happens to be called Arash, or Arash. But he's basically told that he has an hour to kill his partner. He wants him smashed. He wants him gone. So he takes him out, parks the car, and they begin to tell each other a couple of tales. In the very beginning of this anthology, we get a scenario where apparently Frankie goes into this seedy-looking bar with this dude in a mohawk, and he looks fucking spectacular. Like, God saved the queen spectacular with all his nose rings and tattoos and his fucking pink ass mohawk. He is the literal look of the punk age. But he sounds like he's half Indian, half Chicano, if you know what I mean. Half Mexican, half Indian, or something like that. It's kind of interesting. But in any case, Vincent is an interesting character because it seems like he is this owner of this bar, and he helps out gangs if they need to get helped out, and he does it for money. That being said, the first story is about a tale of 4 or 5 chicks by the names of Jenna, Ada, Heidi, and Denise, played by Amanda Rao, Jola Cora, Stephanie Strelo, and Alexia Garcia. And apparently, this is the tale. Apparently, Hitler was supposed to make an escape towards the end of the World War II, and I guess he tasked his head Nazi dude Etzler, um, or Etzel, and he had a son who he brought with, and evidently they set up a bunker in Santa Monica in the mountains. Uh, and this is apparently where these sorority-looking girls end up going to look for a marijuana patch to help them out with some money for the summer. And of course, it's got your regular trope of getting the geeky girl to uh, drive the girls there. And there are a couple of stone buildings that are apparently in the mountains. And I gotta say, looking at the layout of the supposed bunkers, I like the art on the outside of these things, even though I know they were tagged probably illegally. It's almost like you're looking at works of art with all the artwork that was spray painted on these buildings. One apparently was supposed to be a barn, but these girls end up going inside of them. One girl goes off to go to the bathroom, and yeah, hear her scream. Two other girls end up going to this barn area. One goes up, disappears. The other starts to go after the girl. She supposedly gets hit, and then the other girl that was with the first girl, who is Ada, ends up going to the original girl who supposedly wanted to get this marijuana to begin with, and then she disappears, and then of course this is when you actually finally see the supposedly son of this Eitzel guy in this whole gas mask looking World War II get up, bag her butt, and that's pretty much it of that one. I mean, a lot of the gore in that there wasn't really that much gore in that segment, and I was expecting a little bit more from that segment too. But that being said, it was shot rather well, and so That is, and while these hitmen are sitting there, they bring up the second story, which is called Massacre, and this one is involves Wet Movie One, Brandon Mitchell. He's a YouTube personality, and oftentimes he sometimes sends segments to for people that have a film. Now, this particular segment might have actually been filmed by Aaron Carter. Um, but apparently he goes to this Mexican place that's supposedly known for its 10-pound burrito. And one the winner of the burrito speed eating burrito contest ends up going home with the supposedly the hottest pepper that he has ever seen, and he videotapes this shit. And of course, Brandon had actually sold him this pepper. That was his friend's pepper. I believe it was Gabriel Mercado who had it. And apparently, the effects of this pepper were have a slow reaction. Ultimately, the dude ends up going into a bathtub, and his other end begins to explode. Meanwhile, Brandon and his group of friends are on their way over to pay him back the money that supposedly he ripped them off for, so that whatever. And of course, that one was pretty decent. I liked that. I liked the effects of the blood coming gushing out the dude's ass end, as well as the coming out his mouth, and just how he reacted to the whole thing. His face got red, like he was sunburnt or whatnot. It definitely did seem like he was going through some kind of effects, and it was successful in showing me that that he had in fact ingested something. The next segment, which is actually my favorite segment of the whole thing, is actually called Hog Hunters. Now, Hog Hunters has a group of men who evidently are at this bowling alley. They want to and they want a new member to help them out with their bowling game. And I specifically remember one of them because one of them had a bowling ball that had a skull in the center of the bowling ball, and that will be memorable. And he rolls it down the alleyway, and he ends up um, um, apparently inviting a colored man to the bowling alley, and they in turn invite him to the their clubhouse, which is a bar, evidently in the sticks. And yes, this is kind of a redneck tale, and it's these guys are all like husky, big, large guys. They're not exactly muscular, and they end up bringing him to this out of the way biker bar like place, which apparently there was an old man who lives out in the boonies that evidently has these really fat chicks, and they're what they go want to go do is they want to go hog hunting. And evidently the old man had left some pig masks for the men. So they get out to this shindig, and well, the pig women attack them, and lo and behold, it's their friend Lenny, the colored man, who ends up going and saving their butts. But he gets he gets taken inside the house with the farmer, and then his friends end up going and saving his butt. Of course, they end up having a barbecue with none other than the remains of their said attackers. Ladies and gentlemen, if I did not say this before, I probably was going to spoil this film a little bit, but you gotta see this film to believe it. I love this segment specifically for its somewhat humor. They end up breaking into a song before they go out to this supposed old guy's house, and it is fucking hilarious. But in any case, the next and final segment of this thing is the ending of this an hour to kill segment. So apparently, what ends up happening is, well, when they left the Kaminsky's home, they in fact, when they went over and parked their car, two other guys ended up going into Kaminsky's home and apparently did something to him. And apparently there is a story that someone got the drop on Gio, who is played by Aaron Guerrero. And Gio apparently had a run-in with a rash before, and supposedly knocked his ass out, and he escaped the last time. So apparently this particular gangster, the reason why he wants him dead is because it's a little bit more of a personal nature. And apparently, Aaron K. Carter is the guy who played Greyhog, which he might have actually been the farmer who was in charge of everything. Oh God, that is hilarious. But then in the very end of this um, anthology, you get to see all the characters that were in Hog Hog Hunters, as well as in Massacre. Some of them gathered around in a strip joint to the sexually clad big mistress that we see on the pole, which had something to do with the demise of our two hitmen. So, in a sense, this is partly a mob a film, partly a horror film, and partly a horror comedy in a sense, but not really as uproarious as you might think. I actually much more enjoyed the mask on this pig stripper than I did the hog rapists in Hog Hunters, because those looked like they were fake. This one actually looked like it was makeup done, like it was actually part of her face. So someone actually had more time instead of just running down to the local store and buying many warthog pig shit that you could find at your local mass store. I mean, in Hog Hunters, it looked like these big husky men were dressed up uh, like Andy Warhol, uh, or Ed Gein's mother, for that matter, with warthog spikes and 7 layers of whatever the fuck they could find, googly eyes, you name it. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining, and I had some fun with this anthology. I'm sorry that it took me so long to check the film out. I had a blast, and hopefully you enjoy the film. Like, share, and subscribe to my page if you have not, and definitely check the film out in your own right. And let me know down in the comments if you've seen this film. But in any case, thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time spent here on the page. Thank you so much.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?